Hiya, Jack. Week three. Let's go.
Hi, John. You all right?
Yes, mate.
So I've got a few minutes have I, to answer these questions.
Yeah, you got 7.5 minutes.
Fab. Well, I don't think I'll need that, but I'll do my best. A good range of questions, but I thought I would focus mainly on some of the local things. And the first two I'll try to link a little bit. So I think the first two questions were on the River Thames scheme and council funding. So I'll start there, I think, and to me they're very much linked issues. When the floods happened in Datchet, Horton, Raisby, Old Windsor, High End, Colnbrook in 2014, residents were very much promised that we wouldn't allow that to happen again, both nationally and locally. And in fairness, the government did put the River Thames scheme proposals together, which had provided three channels of protection for those villages, effectively similar to what Windsor and Eton already are afforded. And the government did its sums, its calculations, and then it turned to the Royal Borough and effectively asked for many tens of millions of pounds. Now, my position is that that is never really going to be a viable bill that a small-scale unitary authority will be able to afford. Whatever you think about current council finances, it's not reasonable to ask a small local authority to come up with that kind of number. My view, that strategic national infrastructure and should be paid for by central government. So my job, and indeed one of my main 6 priorities as the MP for all the beautiful towns and villages of the Windsor constituency, will be to fight for national funding for Channel 1, because at the moment what's proposed is that Windsor and Eton should be protected by the Jubilee River, and that Egham to Teddington, that bit will be closed off, but the Channel 1 won't be built. And I just think that that's fundamentally unacceptable. And it'd be my job to fight tooth and nail with any and everybody, residents, parish councils, borough councillors, the local authority, to try to get that funding so we can reduce the risk of those floods, which again we saw earlier this year, still obviously prevalent. And that's linked to council funding, I think, right? So let's talk, this constituency now stretches from Slough through the Royal Borough, and now obviously includes Runnymede and Surrey. But these themes are going to be thematic right across, but I'll just focus on the Royal Borough for a minute, if I may, John. Something like 78% of the Royal Borough's spend at the moment is adult social care, right? And as we have increased numbers of people who are elderly, with increased acuity of needs, and whereby, a good portion of that, for example, is salaries, minimum wage salaries, which are pushed up every year. What it's doing, it's squeezing out almost all bits of discretionary spending from the borough, right? So no matter who we're electing as our councillors, they're having to make unenviable decisions on discretionary services to cope for stuff that's really important, right? So if you wonder why Windsor Town Centre is a bit of a mess, the real answer is because the Royal Borough's finances are being squeezed by adult social care. And until we deal with adult social care nationally, whoever our councillors are, they'll have unenviable decisions to make. So my view is that my job as a member of parliament is to work with others of all parties in order to fix the adult social care crisis, because that is the fundamental thing that is causing disruption to council finances and hence council services. Feels a little bit abstract, but that 78% number is huge and it's squeezing everything else. I know there'll be a difference of opinion between myself, perhaps yourself, and new members of the administration about historic decisions made at the Royal Borough, but they all pale into insignificance compared to the fundamental problem that adult social care is just dumped on the local ratepayer and as inflation, which is not able to chase. In terms of the adult social care, then what would I do? Well, I don't think it can be fixed in a 5-year cycle by any one government. I think we need to get this out of the political arena. I would support an independent royal commission, which all political parties sign up for, so we can deal with this on a 10, 20-year kind of basis and get it out of the Punch and Judy arena where it's clearly not being fixed. Funding kind of answer. How much time have you used, John? Can you
You
give
got
me a
3.5
reminder, or
left,
what are the
basically,
rules?
ish.
I've got 3.5, right? So there's four kind of questions left then. So Brexit. So I supported Brexit. I supported it on a very simple basis. I believe that serious public policy, it's unacceptable to effectively subcontract huge areas of public policy outside of our democratic control. My view of Britain's membership to the European Union, that huge areas of public policy, which should be determined at general election and by your votes, was effectively subcontracted elsewhere. I just think, as a fundamentally a democratic basis, that's unacceptable. And so now it's all within our nation's control. So if you do not like what's happening nationally, as many people are telling me on the doorstep, then you have the ability at a general election to change your government, right? And indeed, it looks like that might well happen. But that is the fundamental democratic process. And I think you see, if you look at the results in the European elections this week, you've got a lot of people voting for extreme left and extreme right parties. And one of the reasons for doing that is there's a fundamental democratic deficit in these countries, and it's not being absorbed by normal politics. So I think there's some justification there. I think the next question was about LGBTQI plus rights. My position, I think, is pretty simple on this. Very straightforwardly, I am a liberal with a small L, not a capital L, before Julian comes chasing me. I believe everyone should be free to live their lives however they see fit. I'm proud that in the UK, we've built one of the most comprehensive and robust legislative frameworks for people of sexual minorities possible. What adults do in their own free time is their business, and good luck to them. I'm proud that we introduced the gay marriage legislation, which kind of recognised that. Where I would perhaps differ with some of the LGBT kind of lobby groups, let's call them that. I don't think so much with the average LGBT person is on defending sex-based rights. So, for example, being a liberal means you can do whatever you want, John, as long as it doesn't affect others. I think some of the movement from the activists in the trans space has trampled too much on women's sex-based rights. So yes, we can respect people's gender choices, but not where they infringe on women's sex-based rights. We need to give that some primacy. Kind of places where that's important, for example, is prisons, domestic violence shelters. The sex-based rights of women there override the individual's rights to make choices.